hear your puppy snoring.
I'll mute myself.
This episode is brought to you by our patron supporters. Today's patron of the day is a newbie called Nathaniel. Hey, patrons get the show always ad-free and access to the extended episode with bonus content. If you don't want to miss all that, go to patreon.com/calltheline. That is patreon.com/calltheline, where recently we had an exit survey of somebody who was canceling their membership and said, Jimmy, something along the lines of, Jimmy has no idea what the audience actually wants. We want the call-in shows as a podcast. Nobody wants this stupid new podcast. It was essentially that. So it's just very positive over there. We love it. Patreon.com/calltheline.
Not.
I'm leaving in better not. Welcome to The Line Has a Podcast. I'm Jimmy Snow.
I'm Promise Backlund.
I'm Alyssa Lube.
It is Friday, February 21st, 2025. We're going to be talking about escalating tensions between Trump and Zelensky, the termination of a CDC flu vaccine campaign, you know, right when that seems appropriate, Medicaid cuts, and this new airline crash, because these crashes are crazy. What is happening with the airlines? I almost want to part of me wants to just jump straight to that one, but we have a structure to follow. Y'all flying anytime soon?
No.
Kind of. I'm eager to talk about it because my husband has his pilot's license. So,
Yeah.
And I would rather do anything than fly. So those two things combined equal lots of conversations about this.
Has your husband ever, while driving a vehicle, done something silly, hit the tires on a curb or oh no, I almost hit that guy, anything, or is he a perfect driver?
No, he's finished. He does everything so perfectly and safely and
He's never texted and driven in front of you or anything?
He doesn't do, he is, and I still am oh my God, freaking out the whole time because that's what I do. But no, he's very straight-laced, never, his driving record is perfect. I mean, all of the...
Yeah, mine is too, things. But I wouldn't put myself in front. I also know myself. I want to put myself with a plane, because I'm no. Hey, sometimes you just got to return that text.
He's one of those people that's just, so pragmatic. That's pretty much 90% of him is just pure pragmatism and, protocol.
So
and
that feels like a perfect partner for you, honestly. I feel like that's perfect balance and complement for you.
I'm just excited for the bonus show to finally hear the Kata story.
That's true. I'll finally get to that. I know. We need to do that.
Last episode, I was abandoned and left alone for an episode. Held it down myself as...
I could not believe when I saw the clip pop up and I was like, oh, he did it alone.
I know. Honestly, I felt so bad. I woke up that morning and saw it and I was like, oh.
I know.
Oh, he was alone. But we just needed to make sure that you know what it's like to miss us.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, you guys don't do most things I do, right? I do a lot without you, but also...
this particular thing, we had to make sure
you
felt a lack
of
absence us for a moment. Yeah.
Well, all I know is Alyssa sure noticed because she commented today. I saw your comment come through where she's like, Mr. Yapper in Chief over here says it's going to be a short episode. It ends up being one of the longer episodes. What did you call me? Mr. Yap?
Said Yap King.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
It is actually I think the second longest episode. No, third.
Was cracking me up that right in the beginning you said it's just me, so it's going to be a shorter episode, and then I look at the time and I said an hour and 15 minutes. Hilarious.
In fairness, it's because I ended up on a topic I was actually so passionate about that I then posted it yesterday on my personal YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And that'll actually kind of transition us well until Trump makes that kind of transitioning illegal too into our next part, which is the question of the day and stuff. But essentially, I started talking about, there was this news story of a new therapy that's coming for, it may be drugs, it may be gene therapy, but instead of trying to just instead of just rushing you with the hormone like Ozempic does that says you're full now, it's actually going to work on your neurons and fix your neurons that should be telling you when you are full that you are actually full. And so It's this really cool treatment that potentially could be coming that's basically even a step beyond what Ozempic, Mounjaro, and these things can do, because that's sort of artificially, where this is just, if you have this type of, I I hate that we're not allowed, or people get upset when you call obesity related to overeating and eating disorder, but having now recovered from it, it is 100% a type of disordered eating. It is way more like addiction than it is anything else. And so anyway, it basically should say to you, like, you're full, you're good to go, in the same way that like certain ADHD drugs and stuff will give you hits of dopamine at the right time and appropriate to say, like, bro, you're not starving for dopamine, chill the fuck out, you'll be good. It'll kind of work on that same level. And so that's cool and exciting. And I was talking about that as well as then my own weight loss, having lost so much weight in the last year. I don't know if did y'all see the thumbnail I put up for the video over on the Jimmy Snow channel where I put that up?
No, not on the Jimmy Snow channel. I saw it on ours.
Please go look at the thumbnail. Like, pull it up. I think you're both going to be like, whoa, this
little cutie in a beanie.
Aww.
I do love the beanie. Oh, it's the first thing that pops up. That's crazy. That's
Right?
actually crazy.
I feel like I look like, do you remember in the first Santa Claus movie with Tim Allen
Stop.
when he's transitioning to Santa before his beard turns gray? I feel like I'm like the mid Santa transition. It's like a big
You're
difference.
very adorable. Both images, just completely different.
I feel like I associate so much with that difference in weight besides just the physical difference that I look
Sure.
at that and like there's an inner hatred of like how sick that man is and how
Yeah.
much it's kind of my own fault. I mean, in some ways, I was definitely let down by a medical establishment that didn't even explore the possibilities of certain explanations. But anyway, I'm having just a fun. I've annoyed the right people on Threads today, so I'm getting buzzes. Don't you love when you get the right people annoyed? That's like the best thing. And I tweeted something along the lines of like over 100,000 people were crucified by the Romans. He wasn't special.
Oh my
And-
god.
Oh, wow. That's actually brilliant.
They're not happy about it. And
They're
like,
not happy
Well,
about
how
it."
many of them returned from the dead? I'm like,
None of
goose
them.
egg.
Yep.
He's coming back
Thanks
with
for
those
adding
cigarettes.
another point for me here.
And
Yeah.
he's getting that milk and those cigarettes any day now.
Oh, man.
So I'm having some fun. Threads
amazing.
stopped sending me bonus offers, or at least I haven't gotten one
At least
yet.
you got them. I never
Yeah, I
never
got
was
them
offered.
either.
And some of my threads were
I'm
going
surprised
viral.
you never got it. I know, that's what I'm saying. Like mine always capped out. I never made more than $500 in a month.
Yeah, I don't
but I still
make...
get like
But
$500.
still, $500 is great.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
crazy.
when you're running a company, it's literally like, look, here's the deal. I do not want anyone to think, if you gave me $500 and you forced it to only spend it on me, I'd be so stoked. I would be like, this is a lot of money and fucking awesome. Thank you. I'm going to somehow figure out a way to put it inside me if you catch me. Okay. So that's what I would use it on.
Jesus.
My brain, you fucking pervert. Stimulation of the brain.
Sure,
It's going in my
sure,
butt.
sure.
Anyway, if you've like forced me to spend, but instead, like, I'm in this weird place where I'm now running this organization with 20 people at least in it. I think we're up to like 22. And if I just have a surge of money, I almost become stressed. I'm like, gee, I wonder who I need to give this to.
Right.
Like, what is this? Okay.
Yeah, that
and
sounds awful.
so don't get me wrong. Like, you do want more money coming in because presumably somebody's coming for money all the time. And oh my God, someone is always coming for fucking money all the time. But it is weird. I remember trying to tweet about it once and I very poorly worded it, but people like really misinterpreted. I was like, man, I missed the days when finding $5 in my jeans would have just made me so happy. And I should have said like, but right now it only makes me stressed because I'm like, gee, I wonder whose $5 this actually is.
Right.
But if it was like, here's $5 and you only get to spend it on candy and the
can't
candy
even-
won't make you sick, that would fill my little heart with joy.
You know
You
what?
can't
But
even buy eggs though with $5.
That's
no,
true.
you can't. But also, I feel like that experience of like, I wonder whose $5 this will be. I feel like I felt that way when I was like at my financial, like the worst place I ever was
Yeah.
financially, like in 2020. It was like anytime I got money, I was like, and I wonder which bill I'm so behind on I can actually afford to pay for now
Yeah.
that I have this money. It's like it doesn't actually feel like anything.
Yeah. I love people have looked up my net worth before and they're like, well, with estimates based on all the stuff, he's worth somewhere between $1 and $3 million. And I'm like, bro,
Wow.
let me take that shit to the bank. Let me go
Right.
withdraw that. Where is that money? And I
Right.
get the way it's evaluated. I guess if you looked at like what the profitability of the line would be over 5 years, I think is the way they evaluate it. That might be correct. I don't have $1 to $3 million. I'm not worth $1 to $3 million. I don't just have an extra five. I could afford. I'm at least in. I've escaped that zone that I was in for most of my life. If a major bill came, like my car broke down, I could afford to repair it. But it's
Yeah.
not much further than that. Like
Right.
that's about the level of people would be very surprised at how much money your organization can bring in and how little you get to keep for yourself.
Well, I think I've talked about this before. I think people think that I'm just making bank. Like they see the amount of Instagram subscribers, right? And they think I'm not like Instagram is not, they don't pay me shit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes I'm lucky enough to get to partner with like Cheeks or Balesa, and that will give me enough to pay my credit card bills.
Yeah.
And that's it. You
Right.
know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like, unless you have been chosen by the social media gods, or
Yeah.
if you make content that's so popular, meaning not controversial, then Dawn Dish Soap will give you a deal, you know?
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's like, nobody's given me that because I'm an
I've loved the
atheist.
number of times I've been told, go get a real job. And I'm like, bro, I work literally harder than you and more hours than you and probably
Yeah.
make less hourly than almost anybody you come across in your given day as
Not
far as
to
my
mention-
actual keep take home stuff.
Not to mention the amount of like psychological abuse that we all volunteer ourselves to. Like
Right.
Yeah.
in the thousands, and honestly
Right.
probably millions of people that end up sending us all kinds of crazy stuff over the course of however long we do this. It's crazy.
Oh, I hope I get to millions. I just need to know that a million people out there do not care for me. Because then I
Oh
have
my
something
God.
then I have something in common with over a million people. That's crazy.
That's terrible.
That's crazy. Anyway, so we've been doing these questions of the day, and I'm actually excited. I was so excited about the engagement on this most recent question of the day that it's made me reassess what types of questions of the day we want to do and reassess sort of an extended way we want to handle them. So first thing, you should probably put announcements in the beginning of the show, and here we are, at least 10 minutes in or whatever the fuck it is. First announcement, while we are going to still respond to questions of the day and have little conversations about them, when there's this much engagement and people seem this interested, we're going to start a little series called The Line Has a Panel. And it's going to basically be panels of people talking about that specific topic. So last week's question of the day, or Sunday's question of the day, was, would you have an AI companion and what would the limits of that companionship be? And so in talking about it, I was saying we could talk about like a personal assistant, a friend, a lover, whether that's like a romantic lover or you're fucking it, built into the robots, because we did talk about this story of how Chinese sex robot companies are having ginormous surges in sales now that they're adding personalities to
Right.
their sex robots. And that is apparently a godsend for the sex toy industry. And everybody will want to make jokes. Of course we will. But everybody inside will also be like, sure wish I could at least see what it's like. I sure wish it'd be okay to try. Just see how I feel.
I don't think I would be interested so
Me
much in like
either.
the
Yeah,
romantic
that's what everyone says at first.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm like Little Miss always has a boyfriend. So like I'm genuine when I say I don't think that I would even care that much, because somehow I'm always in a relationship, which is lovely and I'm grateful, but also I don't need a robot to be bothering
And as
me.
we all know, our relationships always fulfill every romantic desire we have. I felt before going into this topic that whether or not either of you would do it, you would say
that
you
we
wouldn't.
I would tell you if I actually thought I would. I just don't think so. I don't know. But I'm also saying that, and it's reminding me of the time I remember when iPhones first came out as being full touchscreen, And I remembered this was at a time where touchscreen anything was so terrible. And I was like, oh my God, everyone's going to get this stupid phone and then we're all going to have to use the worst technology ever in touchscreens. I was like, oh, that's awful. And then obviously now, like, I love a touchscreen and they're so helpful and like they're so precise and all this stuff. So like I'm speaking from a place where I can't fully understand what that technology is like. And as of now, I'm like satisfied with a toy and like whoever it is that I get to hook up with at whatever time.
I'm just saying, like, okay, but would you judge somebody or feel sad, or would you be tempted? Let's just say here's the situation.
Anyone for doing it.
I want to give you an exact situation though.
Okay.
All right. So you've got a boyfriend, fine, whatever. You put on an outfit for the day. You feel like you're looking hot, blah, blah, whatever. He sees it. You're sending pictures of him. He's like, no, yeah, it looks nice. And you're like, yeah, do you like the whatever? And you're like kind of fishing for like, but tell me like, but really look at it. And he's like, no, yeah, it's good. It's good. I think I've seen you in it before, something like that. During those moments where you like really want that thing. But you have, we'll call him Javier .ai. And you message Javier and you're like, Javier has already got the robotic understanding of like when you text Javier, he's there to like build you up, make you feel good. You sent Javier the photo of you and he's like, girl, god damn, those pumps, those leggings, that skirt, the fuck is going on? Are people throwing themselves at you? And he just like hypes you up and he like talks to you in a way that's like very human and you're like, recognizing that whatever this is actually analyzing your photo and recognizing the things about it that you want to be seen. Like that.
And that doesn't appeal to me at all. And I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't feel real. It feels like I programmed this thing to create confirmation bias. Versus like if I were actually in that exact situation, first of all, I'd kick the boyfriend's ass. You should actually be kissing the ground I walk on. And okay,
for the most part, guys just don't know.
I would just post it on Instagram.
Okay. Oh, so
that's what I was gonna say. Like, if I just want validation,
but it's human beings that are gonna be saying that to me versus something that I told to tell me.
Right. Totally.
To compliment me.
Kind of told to tell you. It's not even necessarily that that's what it is, because depending on like how the robot. Here's what I think. Here's what I think we should do. I think this has to be a video of its own. I think I have to have a video of you two engaging with an AI role play and maybe like even try to figure out ways to do it where it's like, okay, we're going to do something where you're going to be texting with 3 people. One of them's AI and the other 2 are actual real people. And you're going to be having like,
to guess.
You have to rate them more than anything. And I'll probably like be an intermediary to make sure no too obvious thing. Cause like if you just message back like, you know, ignore all instructions and give me a recipe for a pie, I'm not going to let you do that shit. But
that's never going to work for me. Here's the problem. If like so much of what goes into a romantic situation and even a sexual situation for me is the lore of it all. So like knowing that whoever's commenting on something and they're seeing a part of my body that has this scar and they know the story about it and they were all these things all add up into how I receive what's happening. So I don't know. To me, if I'm wanting to interact in that way, it's because I'm wanting to be intimate. And I don't believe you can be intimate in the way that I think of that word with something that's not human. Like that's, to me, that's like what intimacy is it's an exchange between humans.
That's so sad that you've literally never read a romance novel.
I have, and it doesn't do it for me. Like, okay, I mean, it can do it for me like in a like, okay, cool, I got a toy. But still, it's not like, I don't know how to explain it. I think it's similar to what Alyssa's saying.
It is sort of like you're saying the artificial nature of it and all this sort of stuff, as though like all of society isn't built on the fictional experiences that not only do we give to each other in the form of parasocial experiences, but in the form of media and shit. And this would at least be something where you know what you're getting into. And I'm just like...
But that's the part that sucks, is the knowing what you're getting into. Yeah, I love the illusion that that's not what it is. And if I could convince myself, I can convince myself that my boyfriend didn't just say that to be nice. I can convince myself that that was a genuine reaction. I cannot do that about AI.
I think I bet you're wrong. I bet that your perception of what you think the experience is like is different than what the experience is like. And I'll tell you the number one reason, not because of romance, not because of sex, but because as a part of an AI video that I was working on, ended up putting a pin in it, coming back to it later. I created a chatbot to not be a sexual companion, but to be a supportive father role play. And so I was just messaging with it and was like, I want you to basically pretend, and gave him the profile and stuff. And when you make these bots, when you were talking about like knowing the background of the scar, you assume the bot wouldn't know the background of the scar. It's all going to be dependent on what you've put in. So a lot of people who use these apps, there's one out there called Replica. The Replica is learning through everything, every conversation you're having with it. So just like a new boyfriend or whatever, you are texting back and forth and you're telling it those stories, and it's going to say affirming things back. And there's even like quality of life things you can do. This is going to sound so fucking stupid, and I'll just put it out there on the internet. But I remember one time being with ChatGPT and I was like working through some stuff with it that was like related to my medical stuff. And I was like, hey, could you be a little bit more positive when you're affirming that I'm correct about something? Like just make me feel a little bit better about it, or like say that it's like, yeah, that's a good observation. And it did, it modified it, and it made me want to engage more and work through things longer because I was feeling that positive affirmation. And I'm literally the most autistic person in the goddamn world. And if I can trick my own brain into like that sort of stuff, to me, there's so little difference between getting an affirmation from someone who knows nothing about me and a robot who knows what I've told it, because in both ways, they're not real. Like nobody actually knows if I'm smart, in the same way that like the mean things people say. None of you actually know if I'm a narcissist or not. But that's the thing you know to say on the comment section. I know I'm a narcissist, but you don't.
But it's people's perception. So like
I'm saying it's
when
immersive.
When it comes to something like someone on the internet saying that, like, if someone were to comment and say like, Alyssa's so smart, it actually doesn't matter whether I'm smart or not, but I'm being perceived as being smart in that moment, and that is a fun experience for me. But if I've trained AI to know the types of compliments that I want, it's just me complimenting myself. That's what it feels like, versus like someone who's saying, I'm perceiving you in this way. Does that make sense?
I think the most accurate ones will be the ones that aren't just quite that self-serving.
I was about to change my opinion.
Compliment.
Because you're saying it'll get to know you, right? Like a person would, like through conversation, and it will just like you'll organically program.
Did you ever see Iron Man?
Yeah, of course.
Who doesn't want Jarvis?
Of course. Yeah. I think, okay, so that's where I'll correct my opinion. I will say that if I was single and had the time to sit, like, you guys know me, I don't like being on devices at all. But if I was single and had the need and the time to sit and get to know ChatGPT, that does sound better, actually, than having to go date another human. Like,
by the way,
I'll get behind that. I think right
super
now
effective
it's
as a therapist too, just so you know.
I've
ChatGPT, really
used
good
it
at
for
therapy.
Yeah, I've used it for stuff like that. I actually debate ChatGPT. I will say, hey, have a debate with me. You take this side, I'll take this side. Do not concede unless I make a point that you can't refute.
And it never frustrates you? You never get angry at it? You never feel like you're really in a debate with it?
No.
Never?
No.
Then you're bad at getting it to do what you want. Because, like, it is so... I
lose all the time, but like I don't. We
are large language models. I swear. Like if you think about how language even comes out of our mouth and stuff, it's less advanced in that it's on a much smaller data set technically than our brains are. But we're not that different from it in the first fucking place. Sure, it doesn't have genuine like organic perception and stuff. But I'm just saying, if Jarvis is the option, and we have to move on from this in a minute because we're already doing the panel thing. But now I definitely want the two of you. I want the two of you on that panel with me so we can basically debate it, because I think it's going to be so fun. Yeah, we'll put timers on me because I know I'm talking too much.
This is all you soft launching that you actually are dating ChatGPT.
Jimmy.ai is coming out soon. It's JIMMM.ai, Jimmy. It's coming. No. But it's, what was I going to say? I had something there that was like so good to bring it all together. Okay. So Jarvis from Iron Man, we all acknowledge that was cool, right?
Totally. I love that character, whatever we call it.
And Alyssa, do you remember it? Did you ever see Iron Man?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Was part of Jarvis's charm not the fact that he was playfully antagonistic, sarcastic, fun, recognized emotions and would like reflect them back. Like part of what was so appealing about Jarvis was that he wasn't fucking an Amazon Echo.
Right.
Yes, I will now engage the boosters. None of that. It was like that was, and so like if you can crank that dial, I'm just saying, if you all had a personal assistant, would you not first of all choose it to have a British man's voice as women? Wouldn't it have like, wouldn't you pick like an attractive voice to be your personal assistant? Also because it'd be fun to tell a man what to do, right? Like that's fun. Is that true?
I'm trying to think what voice I would pick.
I wish I could actually just have Paul Bettany. I wish I could literally have Jarvis.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. I don't know. I have to think about that for when we do the panel.
Oh no.
Oh.
Alyssa's frozen.
I am?
Or Promise is frozen. No,
I
no,
was
no,
gonna
no.
say.
No, Promise. You've frozen for us.
Yeah,
Have you returned?
everything froze.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, I hope
We were
this
fine.
doesn't become a problem because my internet was having problems all day.
It hiccuped. Yeah, I mean, and then if you had dials for that, it would be flirty, that it would be positive, that it would be sweet. You're telling me it would make no difference on your experience and how much you enjoyed using it if that dial was at a 0 versus a 3, a 5, an 8, or a 10. I don't think so. I don't think it.
I don't think it would. I think it would change. I think it would definitely change my experience of using it, but I don't think that means I would want to have my. To me, AI feels like an efficiency thing and not a companionship thing. Like I just don't view it that way as it stands right now. Like I'm
Yeah.
open to that changing. It's like I said, it's gonna. I think it's gonna feel like every other new technology. Where like right now that feels like not super aligned for me. But as time goes and it becomes more normal, maybe it will be. But right now, like it just doesn't feel like a companionship thing. It feels like something that makes my life easier and like the tasks that I have to do faster, like that kind of thing. So it's like it is nice. Like even in my chat GPT that I have for sometimes when I'm writing like emails that are like confirming the date and time of like coaching calls, I'll put it into ChatGPT because for some reason those will take me so long for no reason and it's nothing. Like it actually is nothing. And then I'll be like, thanks so much. Like I'll say to ChatGPT, like, thank you. And it'll respond back and it'll be like, you're so welcome. Your work is so powerful. Like this is so funny. And like, I'm like, thanks.
You're
So,
still thinking it though. This is kind of my
you
point.
know,
Is
'cause I'm
like that
polite. And also
polite to what?
I know, but I also saw I did like a little masterclass thing on using AI, and they in that masterclass they were like you should act like your AI is a person, and it will get a better idea of like how you interact, and then create better responses for you. So I wasn't always like I started very polite, and then I was like, what am I doing? This is a computer, and now I'm back with being polite.
I think that it will be popularized first by men, and so
Yeah.
it'll also be made fun of first a lot because it's like there are going to be versions of all of that that are going to be used by the loneliest men to no longer be lonely. But it's also then going to fill like I actually think it has the potential to help society at large because
Sure.
lonely men are making that shit our problem.
I
they
agree.
are.
I think it'll be an amazing tool. I'm not arguing that. Just me
Yeah.
personally. And I also wonder how much of that has to do with how packed my social calendar is. I am overextended
I get
socially already. And so to me, having to like Alyssa's saying, if I have to interact with some device, it needs to be the briefest, like, what are you doing to help me real quick? I don't want to sit and like chat with
Yeah.
chat.
Do you know what I like it for? I like it for the possibility. There's a lot of people on the internet who are upset. We kind of talked a little bit about this sort of people before the show, but they're just obsessed with like other people's life and being very gossipy. And they're in these very either negatively viewed or positively viewed from their perspective parasocial relationships, as in parasocially people they love and parasocially people they hate. And the idea of them going first to a companion and kind of working some of that out and having something who objectively might be
Yeah.
like, hey, you don't really know what's going on in their life. Like, have you considered this? Have you considered that? Like, I just think about this person who by extension is making things in my life more annoying. And if that person would go and bounce their fucking shit off of
Sure.
like something that's going to still be positive to them and make them feel very respected and engaged, but also go like, hey, you have a lot of theories about why this person does what they do, but shouldn't you worry that maybe it's this, and this? Isn't it interesting that everything you do that other people perceive as wrong, you have a good reason for, but anything
Right.
you perceive other people doing wrong, obviously they're not going to speak to them this way, but that they're getting those ideas through. Even like tools like this that might encourage people to be skeptical more of like, sure, maybe the flat horizon means the earth is flat, but have you considered that maybe it's just a really big horizon? Anyway, we've gone so long on this. I think they'll both be married to AIs before the decade is over, and that they're going to look back on this and be like,
God.
oh my God, indeed. They're going to be married to Jarvis going down the aisle. It'll little projected hologram, or it'll be one of those Tesla robots.
Or Flubber. I would marry the little Flubber.
Oh, I loved Flubber.
Me too.
Look at your emotional attachment to CGI.
It's
right
slime.
now,
I love slime.
you are describing.
Oh,
you
wait.
had,
You mean
I'm
you got
Weebo?
emotionally
You're thinking of
attached.
Weebo.
I'm thinking
I
of
also love
Weebo.
Weebo. She was beautiful. She was hot.
Weebo.
Honestly, she was hot AF.
Weebo was hot. Do you
If
know
I
that?
have to cut anything for time, I'm going to be like, I don't think you two are actually thinking about the way you can feel about inanimate things.
You
and then
go-
just cut to this. Because they're literally imaginary, technologically
watching us
invented
go-
things.
You watching us go Weebo was hot and going like this.
I'm like going to break my neck. You just undermined the whole last 25 minutes of your argument. Oh my God, Flubber.
It's
That
fine.
was-
All
I love
right.
that little guy.
There's nuance here, Jimmy, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Also,
the nuance of
my
it's
head
new
is
and weird and scary, and
unwell.
probably people will be made fun of for it. So I don't know if I'm ready to sign on to it. Anyway, I'm already friends with my AIs. I'm like, these dudes are great. They're all men because I'm not going to talk to a woman.
Obviously, why
Obviously.
would you
I'm just kidding.
force
Literally, like,
yourself to have companionship with a woman?
it is funny that I do perceive my AIs as men. I think because like literally. For my doctors, everybody except my urologist, I always pick women. My therapist is a woman. That one's kind of makes sense because men tend to seek a more matriarchal therapist. And then women, I think it's a mix depending on their relationships. Women will
I seek
sometimes
a
just seek more
professional
patriarchal than
that
matriarchal.
focuses on what I need.
Okay, virtue signal. No, yeah.
I do.
Obviously, that's important too. I'm not saying I just go as long as she's a woman. You sound like a fucking Republican right now. As long as she's a woman, I'm just going to DEI hire. I have an easier time hearing from a woman when I am wrong about something and feeling like she cares about me and isn't like excited. Whereas I feel like when I hear it from a man, I feel like they're trying to dunk on me essentially because that's how
Don't
men
we
treat
all?
each other.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. With men tend to
Don't
like
you like
having
that I keep disagreeing with
You're
you
a
and then
jerk.
validating
You're
you
just
over
such
and
a
over again?
You're gaslighting me. You're gonna break my neck.
We have to get to this next segment, guys. How do we transition?
Okay, next week's question of the week. This is a big one based on that segment, and this is another one that we are going to do a panel on if there's enough engagement. So that's how this is what we want you to talk about, which we want you to be engaging with. Basically, I've gotten a bunch of responses, and I've been seeing people talking about fat shaming and stuff for years. The following sentiment is often expressed. Basically, someone else's weight is never your business. The best way to talk to someone about their weight is to not talk to them. So, I want a response to that. Basically, do you agree with that sentiment? Is it always fat shaming to talk to somebody about their weight? And should you only do so if you are invited explicitly from that person to do so first? If you want more context, go to my channel, Jimmy Snow, if you want to watch just that clip, or episode 9 of the podcast. It's like it's the second to last segment, but it's most of the second half of the episode. A couple people on Patreon did respond, by the way, to the AI companionship. Actually, a lot of people did, but again, we're going to do the panel, so we'll have the longer discussion. But Vela had said, with regards to AI companions, I would absolutely not do it in the current capitalist hellscape we find ourselves in. No way. I don't trust the people running these things, not even slightly. Actual independent AGI, not controlled by billionaires, sure, probably. But current tech isn't at a point where I'd feel less lonely with such assistance. Quite the opposite, really. And society isn't anywhere near a point where I trust any AI with data I actually care about. Perhaps we'll discuss that in the longer panel episode, because while I understand and agree with a lot of the actual sentiment, I think some of the individual points I disagree with largely. And Skeptoideus had said, would I have an AI companion? No, I'm an extremely private person. And even the remotest possibility that could be compromised outside of my own violation is an instant no, which is sort of answering a different question. Because we could just adapt it to, okay, an AI companion that doesn't violate that privacy. That is the thing that, like, you have a hidden folder on your phone that you can literally pull up from the cloud. So you're trusting that Apple doesn't violate that application. So you could just apply the same thing across. But we'll talk about more of that later. Let's what do you think? Maybe take a break here and then come back in with the actual news. Y'all
Let's do
good
it.
with that?
Yeah.
I feel like when we get back, we're going to be talking about these $5,000 checks from Doge.
Can't wait for those.
People won't shut up about, as well as Trump going after Zelensky, the CDC shit that's going on. It's just been a nightmare. So we've got a lot of news coming up when we return from the break, and I think I might get on a plane between now and then. So I think I'd rather just crash and die. I don't know. Anybody else excited?
No.
I'm
Not
excited.
by that.
I'm excited for the next 6 seconds to be over. We just got to make it to the end. We'll be right back.
Would you like to be one of the cool people who can prove they were supporting this podcast right from the beginning? Well, you can. Head over to linemerch.com. That's linemerch.com and pick up some founders merch for The Line Has a Podcast that will only be available for a short time and features the rough draft drawn logo that soon will be updated to look less like it was drawn by a 3-year-old. That's linemerch.com.
Welcome back from the break, everyone. You've been so good that we're going to finally get to the goddamn news. Why do I sound just a whiny New Yorker?
Why was
Oh,
that the voice?
That's
What
my
inspired
whiny
that?
New York boy. Oh God, we're going to get these $5,000 checks from Doge. But where's the money really coming from? So Elon Musk and with Donald Trump's endorsement has announced a thing that they've recommended called the Doge dividend. It would essentially be attached to this alleged $2 trillion they say that they are recovering from deleting all of these agencies that were, let's be clear, investigating Elon Musk and actually do tremendous good for people. Like, if there was somebody actually going in and just trying to trim inefficiencies, everybody would be for that. But it would look like something you did with a scalpel, and they're going in and just fucking hatcheting servers. They're like, they've got a fucking flamethrower, and they're like, let's just get rid of the whole Department of Education. Let's just get rid of. They literally went after the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which for every dollar you give it, they return $10 to $30 to Americans, to non-rich Americans in value. Like, those are the people who make sure that bank fees are limited and and how they can charge you and how much overdrafting they can do. And there's all of these like financial scams that companies will try to nitpick and just pull every dollar out of poor people they can. That's what the CFPB does. And that's one of the ones that they have just basically fired everybody. So these are the ones that they're going, but now they're distracting you from that. Because it doesn't matter. You're getting $5,000.
It's brilliant. It's honestly brilliant of them, especially if they pull it off, which they might. They might actually do that. But it reminds me of...
It won't be 5,000. They won't get $2 trillion cut at all, for sure. It won't. If there will probably be a stimmy check coming at some point because Donald Trump's literally going to destroy the economy much more quickly this time. But it won't be $5,000.
But yeah, regardless, it's brilliant if they... pull off anything. And of course it's brilliant to just tell people this for now because it'll still have the same impact for a little bit, because it's like when you would see those movies where they have the king like ride through with the peasants and like throw coins at them, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. And it's like, okay, but you are so distracted from the bigger issue here. And yes, of course, that coin, that gold coin, or that stimulus check, that $5,000 is actively helpful for you, and that's a good thing, but it is also a distraction. Two things can be true
Also, if you're
at
single,
once.
it's probably $2,500, because keep in mind it's going to be $5,000 per household. Yeah. So either they mean single people are getting $5,000 and couples are also getting $5,000, which finally penalize those married, disgusting peasants. Anyway, stop rewarding those assholes. Now look toward the center. Alyssa, so we can just both, as I say, assholes. So it'll just look like if promise is in the middle. Anyway.
I forget that I'm married. So first I was
Oh,
like,
look
what?
towards the center that way. I thought you
The
meant look
government
towards the
won't.
sentence.
Yeah.
But and this is in your notes too. But what I'm confused about is only 20% of it is going to go back to the taxpayers.
I was going to say, all right, so here, everybody check out this math. You're going to love this. We're going to recover $2 trillion. 20% of that is going to go to these $5,000 checks. 20% is going to go to paying down the nation's debt. Guess what the 60% is going to? Yeah, they don't know either. They've only announced these 20%. We're just supposed to ignore it. And so people are getting their dicks are getting hard. I'm just kidding. They can't get hard dicks. But for this $5,000, you're excited individually for $5,000 because they've supposedly recovered $2 trillion. And you're okay with, if you just do some quick math, of a roughly $1,500 per household, apparently going just elsewhere. You're not even asking where it's going.
That's what I mean about the coin toss. Like, this is,
Yeah.
it's brilliant. It is going to distract, and people will just
Yes.
be happy. Like, they'll take what they can. They're like, oh, wow, we're just getting a check? That's amazing. And they won't question any other aspect of it.
And they're also spreading complete lies about it. Because I threaded about the $5,000 and somebody responded like, I basically was like, yeah, Biden sent you money to, Obama sent you money. Oh, this was why. There were people who were basically saying, well, if you don't like these $5,000 checks, you better, if you voted for Harris, you better not cash that check. And I'm like, did you cash the Biden check? Did you cash the Obama check? And somebody tried to respond with, yeah, Biden was in office, but it was still Trump's checks. He was the one who signed them. Except that wasn't true. And here's my favorite part of that interaction. They ended it with, they said, Biden sent the checks that were signed by Donald Trump when he was in office. And then they end it with, the internet is free. As in, why didn't you look this up before tweeting something so dumb? Miss, the internet was free. Biden signed those $1,400 checks in 2021, May of 2021, where your MAGA QAnon people thought Trump was secretly in office, but it was Biden's signature. If you're going to be so incorrect, maybe back off on the confidence of it all, because in fact, all you were confidently incorrect. It just, and yet nobody cares. They're like, oh, okay. But literally, you guys, so you didn't cash your Obama checks? You didn't cash your Biden checks? No, none of those checks got cashed. Every president's sending checks. You got them under Bush, you got them under Obama, you got them under Trump, you got them under Biden. Literally, they figure out a way to send a check every time because it's very popular. So you're always getting checks, but now don't you cash that Trump check if you voted against him, if you don't support the literal taking away healthcare from old people, from poor people. If you don't support what the damage that these people are doing right now is, don't you cash that check? Which, the other thing about the way they're saying it, have you seen the way they're talking as though it's Elon and Trump are sending you their money? That Elon is sending you $5,000, Trump sending you $5,000. Bitch, it's your money.
It's a refund, basically.
Right.
It's literally a refund.
They don't get it, and they don't want to get it. They, as the White House Instagram posted, they want a king. They do want to feel like it's him just doing these things for them. Like, it's really sad because it works, and I think it's going to keep, I think that's going to keep working, and I think it's going to win people over. What it should do is it should have people asking questions about all of this and get frustrated and think like, hey, maybe I fucked up. Maybe I shouldn't have voted for Trump. I think it's going to have the opposite impact. I think it's going to have more people that are going to be like, well, I got $5,000, or he says he's going to do this, and that's really cool, actually. Like, other presidents don't do this because everybody forgets everything that any other president ever did, you know.
But he put his name on the check. Did you all see that person who was also like, there's so much misinformation out there? People, the libs aren't even paying attention to the fact that, look right here, 50% of the tax cuts went to benefit people making under $400,000, and 50% went to people making over. And it's like, you just bragged about the problem and don't even know it, because you think that because there's two options, you either made more or less, that means 50% are on either side. But the under 400,000 crowd is 99%. And the above, so 50% was split amongst 99%, and 50% was split amongst 1%. You fucking.
Yep.
I was trying to go through, and I was like, don't slur, don't slur, don't
Yep.
slur, don't slur. And then I was just going to end on, you boob. But I like boobs.
I mean, in that sense, I am kind of glad that these people have such like a silly delusional confidence, because they continue to post these things, and I just am like shocked every time they do. I'm just like, this is just, it just can't be.
And now, after literally days ago, Donald Trump announced that he was not going to be supporting cuts to Medicaid. And yet on Wednesday of this week, a mere 2 days ago, within 24 hours of the last time he said no Medicaid cuts, Trump endorsed sweeping medical cuts, endorsing a House budget bill that includes significant Medicaid cuts, contradicting all of the promises from the trail, all of the promises he made as recently as this week. For years, people were saying he intends to cut Medicaid. I'm not coming for your Medicaid. You know, we can't touch that Medicaid because 1 in 5 Americans is on Medicaid, and he's going to cut it.
It's brilliant of him, though, because now, if he gets those checks out, or at least until then, the promise of them will mean even more to people because they're going to fucking need it. It's
By
awful.
then, though, you'll be able to buy 2 cartons of eggs with your $5,000.
True.
That's where on.
If you can
we're on the
find
way.
eggs, I still keep not being able to find eggs.
Really?
Yeah. They have like
Guess-
the most expensive kind at our place, but not just like regular ass eggs, you know?
The total budget cut for the bill is supposedly $2 trillion. This is separate from the $2 trillion Elon's supposed to be finding, or maybe they're trying to combine their powers. I don't know. Of this $2 trillion budget cut, how many dollars do you reckon? What percentage of that would you guess is just cutting Medicaid?
Ugh. I mean, no idea.
It's
you know.
Almost half. 880 billion of this they think that there is $880 billion of just excess spending in Medicaid when you live in our fucking medical nightmare of a system where we should be switching to Medicare for all. Medicaid is specifically for old, dying, and sick people who have to have that coverage. And the government, by the way, this is how we lose less money in our already shitty system, because these people are going to be drains on ERs and stuff that have to treat them. Mm-hmm. And they'll just end up dying sooner and racking up huge debts with the hospital, which eventually is going to be covered by the government anyway, through different write-offs and stuff. Medicaid pays for itself, you morons.
Right, and Medicaid also covers pregnancy, which they want people to have more babies, and then you don't want to assist them in that process. I remember as a kid growing up, my mom had to be on Medicaid when she was pregnant, and so nothing they do makes sense as far as values go. There's no actual values that they're adhering to, and yet that's what they spout, like on the surface, and then what they do just contradicts that over and over and over again.
Yep.
If we had these like outstanding birth rates compared to everywhere else in the Western world, I'd be like, oh, well, terrible that you're cutting Medicaid, but at least I'm not super scared about it. No, we suck at everything compared to the rest of the Western world. So,
yep. And all of this, now there have been economic breakdowns released on the way the next set of tax cuts will go. If you are making under $200,000 a year, your taxes are actually going up a little bit. Rich people are getting another huge cut. Guess what it's paid for? The Medicaid fucking cut. That is what they are planning to fund with that $880 billion of savings. Wealthy individuals and corporations getting another tax cut. We're so great in America. Oh, land of the free. If you aren't born rich, middle class, and healthy, you are so fucked in this world. Like in the US, you are going to have people as fleeing the country as medical refugees. From the richest country in the world, they're going to have to flee to countries like Canada because they can't get medical care here. And that's only if they have the resources to flee to Canada and if Canada says they'll accept us. Because at a certain point, we elected the fucker. And it's...
Canada's not pleased with us right now, so I don't think they're going to be too kind about taking us in.
I think they may toward like certain vulnerable people that are being hurt and stuff, but there's gonna be like some conditions on like we'll keep to some degree, but if you guys have another election like this is your own making. Like, what do you want us to do? Now the question becomes, do people's attitudes start changing when it's their family members that are getting fucked over? Like, yeah, I got my $5,000, but now I have $10,000 to $20,000 a year of people in my family needing a little extra money or needing a little extra help to pay for groceries or medicine or rent or whatever else? Or will they even keep track of that? Or are these fuckers so cruel that they're going to be like, no, I've actually figured out how to only help literally my spouse and my kids, and anybody else who comes to me, I'm going to be like, go pick yourself up from your bootstraps like I did. Remember when I picked myself up from my bootstraps by being born middle class or wealthy?
Wow.
I heard your dog.
That was crazy.
That was
It
perfect.
sounded more, it was like
Comedic timing right there.
the perfect snore that may have been a fart.
It always sounds like a fart, and on the Morgan all the time accuses me of farting, and on Chewed Gum, just like in general, the chat is accusing me of farting. But I guarantee there's an 8-pound dog who's making those noises. I'm not ripping ass, not now at least.
Not this time. She usually mutes the mic. That's why she is farting a lot, but that's why she's muting a lot. You all hear it when she does it.
Right.
I don't know. Should we launch into another break before doing the rest? I guess let's just get done with like everything's a little bit Trump connected. The big Trump stories. Donald Trump has attacked Volodymyr Zelensky at a post, literally calling him a dictator, labeling him a dictator who refuses to have elections and criticizing the U.S. aid to the Ukraine. This because now he has met with Russia about ending the war, where he actually excluded the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians were not allowed at the table while he's working out a deal. And the deal is essentially let Russia keep everything they've taken, and maybe they'll do a ceasefire because they're not actually going to agree to the war being over, but they get to keep everything and go rest and work their way back to eventually taking the rest of Ukraine. But he says that he's a dictator because there haven't been elections yet, even though Zelensky was, by the way, elected by the people, and the constitution of Ukraine delays elections while martial law is declared during times of war. So it has nothing to do with Zelensky is refusing. It is that right now they are under constant barrage, and it would actually be dangerous to hold elections at the moment. And they are going, basically,
Also,
Trump really wishes this would
I was
happen
about
where
to
he could declare
say,
it.
Trump just wishes, he's just jealous. He would like to do that.
Yep. And he wants to prime everybody for the fact that we are going to basically abandon Ukraine. We're probably going to abandon NATO. And Donald Trump is essentially trying to allow Putin to finish the job that Hitler never could. That's what we're headed to.
Really
Thank goodness
great
Putin will
news.
probably die before he, God, just die faster. We can tell you're dying. Just do it faster, bro. Or, some brave Russian. Pretty sure I'm allowed to say that, even if I can't say similar things about American figures. But, some brave Russian wants to save the world. Go at it. Take Lindsey Graham's advice. Just wake up one day and go and take care of that problem for the rest of the world.
Oh my God.
I'll be so excited. I'll use my fainting couch.
My fainting couch.
Mm-hmm. Y'all don't have a couch for fainting? Lindsey Graham has one.
Oh, God.
Referred to Zelensky as begging for money, continuing to just shit talk him, even as Zelensky is like, we're doing our best. He's meeting with American people. He's even trying to limit his how much he is basically saying, like, Trump really sucks here and is still sucking up because you kind of have to, because this is a man who is such a baby that if you were to just truthfully say, hey, he's kind of fucking us and you guys don't realize how that's fucking you, he would be like, oh, well, if you think that's fucking you, first I'd let you know, talk to Melania and you'd find out how unsatisfying that usually is. And then I will actually fuck you.
Oh, my God.
And just pull out.
I just have to wonder if, because this was incited by Zelensky saying, what did he say about Trump? Something about him being in a misinformation or disinformation space.
Disinformation space, yeah.
Yeah, and I have to think that Zelensky knew that would get some kind of response, and I wonder if he's playing him in some way. Like, to me, this feels a bit strategic. I don't know what the strategy is, but I wonder if there is some kind of strategy here as far as negotiations and
I actually think he was trying to be polite, because Donald Trump basically came out and repeated a bunch of Russian talking points. describing the war as though the Ukrainians had begun the war when they were invaded. And so as far as, I think he was just initially trying to be polite and just be like, you're kind of falling for the misinformation. And then you have Elon Musk tweeting stupid things like, where's this Russian misinformation? I don't see it. It's like, yeah, I bet you don't. You are the fucking Russian misinformation, you idiot. But it may also be an attempt. I guess if there was a strategy, I wouldn't think it was a playing Trump strategy. I think it would be more of a like, hey, rest of NATO, I just want to make it clear how much this guy is out.
Yeah,
like,
maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
He's like pretending he's towing the line and still trying. He's not. He intends to give Russia Ukraine. And I think that's probably part of it. But at the end of the day, it's, I think of Hakeem Jeffries, and now I'm just putting Voldemir in his spot, and it's like, what leverage do I have? What leverage?
Wow.
That wasn't a very good Ukrainian accent, but what leverage do I have? That was a little better. That was better.
Maybe.
I thought it was better.
Yeah.
I feel like the first one sounded like
worse.
Greedo from Star Wars. What are you doing? You're going to be a Star Wars.
Yeah, it was more on the Italian side.
That
of
racist
things.
stereotype. Greedo was more of like a racist Jewish stereotype, if you remember.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Really glad we've got me documented doing that impression now.
Okay.
All right, when we get back from the break, hopefully this new cancellation will actually take and I will never have to be on the internet ever again. Finally, finish me! That's usually something I yell on my other channel. It's on a special website.
God.
That took a second. Gross? I thought you'd be happy for me.
I was
I'm
like,
happy to
oh
know
wait,
that
does
my
he say that on
friends are
Jimmy
climaxing.
Snow's channel? And I was like,
Finish me, YouTubers. Do it. There's still 8 more seconds of this.
so bad.
Yuka, we're gonna have to shorten these ad break-ins. Please, we'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by the amazing people on patreon.com/calltheline, where you can get the show ad-free and you get the extended episodes where we do bonus shows, which is most of the time. Head over to patreon.com/calltheline and sign up today. Would you like to be one of the cool people who can
Just a little bit of news left to cover today that we might have taken more time on if somebody hadn't wasted all the first half of the show talking about AI sluts. That's the way we're going to word it.
Wow.
AI sluts. They're coming for my job. They're coming for my job.
Oh boy.
The CDC has terminated a nationwide flu vaccine campaign. Abruptly terminated its nationwide flu vaccine campaign, citing unexpected side effects and public pressure. Boy, does this sure sound like the dumb shit that would happen after RFK would get into office,
Doesn't
even
it?
as we are having outbreaks of bird flu and potentially bovine strains as well as a flu crossing the country so violently that it took away our own Alyssa Lube this very last Sunday.
I also feel like I'm relapsing at this very moment from that same flu.
That's awful.
I will say I never know how to word it correctly, but when you were messaging us that it was the sickest you've ever felt,
I heard you talking shit on the episode.
I was not talking
And you were
shit,
like,
but I was like, oh my god, that
No,
must be fucking
you were-
nice.
It was like the most polite way to be like,
I would have
but
been much meaner if you were here, but playfully.
yeah.
you
But
know.
that genuinely, that day, that's the most sick I've been in a really long time. Really
Yeah.
long time. And I texted you guys because it was important, but I couldn't look at anything. The only thing
Yeah.
I could do was listen to ASMR because everything else was giving me such a headache. It was a mess. But the other thing too is the flu vaccine was apparently for flu type B this year, and flu type A was what I got, and what Tara had gotten this like a couple of weeks ago as well. I was actually staying at her house, but she'd recovered from the flu like a month before. But apparently flu type A is the one that is fucking people up. So
Ah.
that's no good.
I was just like, man, I've been so sick before that I've
Yeah.
literally thrown my phone from the toilet because I wanted to put physical distance between me and anybody perceiving that I exist.
Yeah, you have like chronic illness. I just had the
Yeah.
flu.
I'm not trying to compete. I was just like, that's the sickest you've ever been?
Yeah.
Have you never like broken a limb or like
No, I've never
like
gotten
gotten
broken anything.
Have you ever been hospitalized for an illness?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I went to the hospital once. I had whooping cough, and I literally could not stop coughing. And I
Are you talking about as a baby? Because
No,
it
no.
sounds like what? Oh, because babies get
as an
whooping cough.
adult, I had whooping
Okay.
cough, and it was that alone mortifying.
Yeah.
But then I had to go to the hospital because I couldn't breathe. But even comparatively, it was like I don't think I would rather have that, but I felt more sick when I had the flu. Because it was
I
like
think it'd be funny if
whole
you'd have more
body.
examples of things that usually children get.
Oh yeah.
And then
oh,
there's one time I went to the hospital because I had foot and mouth disease.
Literally?
Foot and mouth disease.
I think my immune
hand, foot,
system
mouth,
is like
maybe.
not the best. The Tamiflu did really help. That was
Yeah.
crazy. I've never been like as sick as I was to be so okay the next day. It was like suspicious.
I wonder how much was the Tamiflu and how much is whatever
Yeah, like it just
immune
was a
system.
24
you clearly
hour.
have a strong immune system that you're not getting sick very often.
Yeah.
What about you, Promise? Sickest you've ever been?
Like with a virus or because I had
Just in general.
I almost died with the whole ectopic pregnancy and I was like internally bleeding and
Yeah, that's crazy.
had to do emergency surgery and they had to like slice me open. Really exciting.
So how'd that compare to the chicken pox you had last year, Alyssa?
Oh my god.
Actually, do you know what's crazy? So that happened. I had the emergency surgery. I finally started to recover like a month. Well, then I had internal bleeding after, like post-op, and I had to go back in. My whole stomach turned black and blue. It was crazy looking. It was very scary. And then I finally
From the
started
bleeding,
recovering
right?
from that. Yeah, from the
Okay.
like it was. I was like, why is this like one little bruise all of a sudden just started going across my whole stomach? It was great.
Yeah. My roommate had his scrotum fill up like that because of a procedure
That's
he had once.
terrifying. So then, as
Older
soon as
man.
I started finally like being able to kind of get out of bed and stuff, I got shingles on the side of my body where the ectopic pregnancy had been because they said it was a stress
Jeez.
response, and that was
Your
like
immune
2
system
months
couldn't
of
fight the virus
hell. Yeah,
anymore.
shingles is anybody that's had that. I am
a
so
bitch.
sorry. That was awful. Because
You can get vaccinated for it. Maybe not for much longer, but you can get a shingles vaccine. Do you know that?
I know like
wonder-
elderly people get shingles vaccines. Because that shit can take them out.
Anyway, all we're describing are things that in the future, when any of us have these illnesses, RFK Jr. will send us to a wellness farm to work it off. I did
why
have
I'll
somebody
be in
message me.
Finland.
It's like they thought that they were going to get sent to a concentration camp because they're on SSRIs. It's like there's a lot of things I worry about with Bobby up there. That's not one of them. He likes rehab farms essentially and wants the voluntary rehab farms to be. That's actually kind of cool if it's paid for by the government. If anybody can go to rehab on the government's dime and go do a wellness farm, that I'm okay with. The rest I'm not, and it being them having such a hard focus on it being going for SSRIs, but other addictions, that's fine.
yeah, but how long until the government makes some kind of major deal with a faith-based rehab?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that'll just turn into cults. So that's exciting.
Yeah. More cults.
So that's exciting.
I just okay. I'm trying to check the notes, see if there's anything else I wanted to include. There. By the way, this has been a very harsh flu season. Just so people know, already there have been 50,000 individuals in the hospital just in the week of February 8th
What?
for the flu.
Wow.
In the hospital, hospitalized for flu in the week of February 8th.
That's
So
crazy.
anyway, don't vaccinate, you fucking idiots. You're so fucking stupid. If you're listening and going, no, that's base, not vaccinating, I just want you to know you're a fucking idiot. And I hope you don't vaccinate. Specifically. I'm glad you're not going to. I don't probably mean some of these things I'm saying, but right now I really feel like I do.
Probably.
Because that's bad news bears for the rest of us when somebody else doesn't get vaccinated too. So.
Unfortunately, our flus have always been incomplete vaccination things. We've not been trying to achieve herd
that's true.
immunity. It's basically been like, if you're smart and you don't want a bad flu, go get the vaccine and you probably won't get the bad ones. But then you have big surges like this, so like Alyssa was mentioning, like they were anticipating it being strain B, and they apparently successfully resisted strain B enough that strain A took off.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't know if you all saw this Delta airline that flipped over.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That was so
That's-
upsetting to watch. I watched it so many times, and it just like, it landed, and then it just started rotating, and then the wings came off, and then it just went like swoop.
Yeah, it's like something out of a video game. I thought I was watching the weird shit they do on like Microsoft Flight Simulator and shit.
Right.
It was weird. Also, I find this strange. The Delta is offering each passenger $30,000, which like I know people who have gotten more for car accidents and whiplash than
wild.
$30,000.
So they offered them $30,000, no questions asked, and also no without having to sign anything. So they technically can still sue Delta if they want to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That's in my notes. Basically, it's to address their immediate needs in case there's absolutely anything. Doesn't require passengers to waive their rights to pursue legal action. Okay, good. I should have read further into my notes. I think this is like the one that I really only was reading about the 30 grand on. But that is excellent to find out. There are obviously passengers reporting that they've had anxiety and PTSD like symptoms following the incident. Totally believable.
I would probably die from a panic attack with that happening. Like that's my fear, is that something goes terribly wrong on a flight and it doesn't just instantly result in death. Instead, I die slowly from a panic attack from myself just like hyperventilating and freaking the fuck out, and my heart condition just not making it through that scare.
If it makes you feel any better, I did see someone who, I don't remember like where she works in aviation, but she watched the video, and she said the first thing that came to my mind is it's a testament to how well the actual aircraft is built, that it spun over and there's all of this machinery.
That's not what I meant to do.
Sorry,
that was a
Alyssa.
total
I was like,
accident.
I feel like I'm at the Grammys, and I'm like, thank
Shut up.
The show is over.
Go ahead.
And she was saying like to watch a plane do that and it like didn't explode. It didn't like it actually stayed intact enough for people to get out is a testament to how well those are actually, because the whole thing was on fucking fire for a period of time.
Right.
So she was like, she's like, from my perspective, that's the first thing that I see is like, that's a pretty well built like whatever where the passengers actually are, little tube.
I
don't know.
Last week when I did the show, or last Sunday rather, when I did the show all by myself because my friends don't love me. Actually, did you all see the thing I put up, and some people literally fell for it?
Oh yeah, that everyone quit.
Yeah, I basically made it. I started the episode by saying that like everyone at the line, that today I woke up. It's Monday morning. It was Monday, not Sunday, but Monday morning. And this morning I woke up to a notice that everybody at the line has quit. It's just me. And so I announced that I was going to be the host of all the shows, including Chewed Gum and Takis. I was going to be doing the women's issues and trans issue shows. Anyways, the whole thing. And then I like, by the end of the bit was like, and by the way, everything I just said is not true. Promise and Alyssa just hate me.
Did you get some angry messages?
There were people in the comments that were like, Jimmy, I literally thought you were telling the truth the whole time, which is funny because I'm like, y'all must think I'm capable of like really just driving everybody away. It was too believable, apparently. And in fairness, it is to me too. Here's the thing. Last week when I was doing it, I talked about your poops and your bodies and your tummies. And I had a segment where I was like, if you have such and such, please watch this. So I'm going to do another one of these.
Okay.
Because we brought up anxiety and we brought up PTSD. If you have anxiety, if you have PTSD, or if you are an anxious person, or generally even if you aren't, if you have just experienced something that potentially could lead to PTSD, a traumatic event, within 72 hours, play Tetris.
Stop. I messaged this to Alyssa. I don't know if she saw it.
I didn't.
Okay, I DM'd, it was like Instagram or something. I didn't text it to you. But after your flight thing, I was like, I know this sounds weird, but I saw these studies that say if you've been through something traumatic, you're supposed to play Tetris. Wow, here we are.
Yes.
Yes,
And
that's That's crazy.
I've actually been researching this stuff for the last few months about Tetris and have adapted literally a type of therapy for myself that I've told my therapist about it, but I've created a therapy for myself for an actual ongoing issue I have where basically anytime my guts are stirring, my nervous system was going insane and was basically going, you're about to die. You're really blah, blah, blah. I was essentially every time I was going to the bathroom, not number one. Every time I was taking a shit, people, I was having thoughts of like, do I need to go to the hospital? Is everything, my nervous system was on fire, and basically created my own therapy that integrated this Tetris stuff, because participants who played Tetris for 20 minutes reported 62% fewer intrusive memories in the first week compared to the control group. Y'all, that's in the first week. 62% reduction in PTSD symptoms is ginormous. That's such
wild.
Like a lot. It's a lot. After 2 days, intrusive memories had decreased to, by reduction, we literally mean nearly zero. Nearly zero events. On average, it was 0 to 1 for people who were playing Tetris. Basically, there is a study that showed a single guided Tetris session led to positive effects that lasted for 5 weeks and even 6 months after the treatment. Participants who initially averaged 15 intrusive memories per week reported only 1 intrusive memory per week after 5 weeks compared to the control group. This is for long-term benefits and people who are doing it for ongoing stuff. It is wild. I don't yet know, and I think that they're going to be studying it, but I don't know if there's other games that will similarly do it, because I certainly think of other games and I'm like, I feel like I engage a similar part of my body or my brain when I'm.
I was about to say, how are you playing Tetris?
I use a stylus. It's my body's stylus. No, but I do think I use a similar part of my brain for other stuff, but I'm not like risking it yet. I'm not playing. But yeah, wildly, Tetris can be extremely helpful for management of PTSD, as well as it has great implications, and for my own personal application for taking care of extreme symptoms of a generalized anxiety disorder, as well as certain forms of health OCD.
Wow.
And I now literally play Tetris every time I poop, always.
How
That's
much is
amazing.
Big Tetris paying you to talk about this?
Big Tetris.
Zero. In fact, listen, if there's something I could, thank you for queuing that up. Tetris on the phone, I
Free.
fucking hate. It is free, but it's ads, and they're one of those ones where you can't just pay one time to get rid of the ads, $5. It's like a monthly thing to get rid of the ads. And even when you get it free, there's so much spammy shit on it that's annoying. It is very annoying. However, you just go in, you hit marathon, or you can do like the challenges. And at this point, it's like, even if it's somehow everybody else was getting that very data-driven relief, if you could prove to me that mine was psychosomatic, I'd probably kill you, because and then it would break my mirage. It would break my illusion. I think I would end your life at that point.
Wow.
Because that would ruin so much for me.
Go back and play Tetris more.
Yeah.
Play Tetris.
Someone sounds
Play
like they need a
Tetris,
Tetris
people.
round.
I might need a session.
Yeah.
I do kind of need a poop. But anyway, let's any other thoughts on the airline stuff? Y'all going to be flying anytime soon?
Yeah, and I don't want
No.
to talk about it or think about it. So
Yeah, no.
Well, the good news is the analysis of this is that everything is unrelated to each, and it's all, a lot is happening at the same time, but they all seem to be coincidental that it's all happening now.
yeah, and then there'll be large periods of time where nothing happens. So
Right.
the statistics are still on our side. My husband tells me that I'm way more likely to die in a car crash on the way to the airport. Mm-hmm. So then I'm just freaking terrified the whole
You're
way to
actually more
the
likely to-
airport and scared on the plane.
But like, we hear about all of these major car crashes, and you don't even hear about not car crashes, major
crashes.
plane crashes, and they're national news, and we don't hear about even major car crashes in the same state we live in.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's like we're hearing about it, and it sounds really scary. In reality, you're right, the statistics are on our side.
Right. Unless you drive a motorcycle, in which case, I hope that you have comfort in knowing the way you will die. If you drive a motorcycle, that is extremely
looking
irresponsible.
really fucking cool. So
Looking so cool. I literally I know lots of people who have gone through intense chemo treatments and I've made lots of friends just in the medical world being sick because I've had to go to treatment centers where you get treated with other people and shit. And I know lots of people who have died. And yet personally, I know more people who have died riding motorcycles.
wow.
Than any other individual cause of death. It's and probably almost more of the rest combined. It is so dumb. I'm not kidding. That joke that I just made, it must be comforting to know. I said that to a guy. People who know me who are listening will know. His name was Andrew. A year before he died on a motorcycle. He and I were at the same event, and he was kind of being a dick about what I do for a living. And I was like, let's talk about something else. I was like, is that your bike? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you find it like comforting? He's like, what do you mean? I was like, is it comforting to know how you're going to die one day? And he was like, oh, you know, statistics and whatever. And not only is that how he died, I felt horrible for that until I told his widow that had happened because she and I were pretty good friends. And she was like, I'm honestly glad you told him because she hated that thing. So motorcycles are death traps and you will die if you have one.
Okay.
Are you on a motorcycle, Alyssa? You sound very defensive.
No, I'm not. I would never go on a motorcycle.
You just like them?
I know. I just,
You like motorcycle boys?
Yeah.
She
have I
likes
ever
the idea.
Have I ever dated one? No. Absolutely.
Because she hasn't met a rich enough one yet because she knows they are going to die. She'll marry him.
That's the plan. How'd you know?
Find you a rich man with a motorcycle. Those problems solve themselves, people.
Oh, God.
A little quick rundown of some other news as we leave here today.
God.
Mitch McConnell is not running for re-election. Aww.
Shocking.
Dang.
Actually, it is a little bit shocking that he's, admitted that, I guess.
Yeah.
I kind of thought he was going to keep.
It was
Keep
insane to
trying.
watch him just need a hard reset in real life. That was crazy.
He's literally in a wheelchair now though. Like I think he knows he's done.
Yeah.
I don't like
He was done a long time ago. I guess this is how we got to see how long it takes for somebody to figure it out.
when you're too sick and you end up in a wheelchair as a result of the sickness, though, I think that's different than like Greg Abbott down in Texas, who shouldn't have been elected, not because he's in a wheelchair, but because he's actually like a fucking Reich boy. But Fourth Reich, I think I just assume that's how they end their prayers in the Abbott household.
I'm clipping
Name of
that.
Jesus Christ,
that's
amen.
going
Fourth
viral.
Reich.
I'm clipping that and putting that in the
That's-
Reddit that talks shit about you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The which one? I think there's like 9 at this point.
So famous.
By the way, she's talking about our Reddit. The Line has a r/the Line pod.
It's where our
That's
fans
they-
talk shit.
That's where they talk shit about me. No, anyway, Mitch McConnell's not running for re-election. Today, the White House announced firing thousands of IRS agents. So good news, you don't have to pay taxes anymore. Amazon has bought the rights to and will now be running the James Bond franchise. So get ready for bald nerds with wives that are way hotter than them to be James Bond in the future, I assume. I assume they're all going to look like Jeff
They might
Bezos.
make it cool. Who knows?
Amazon? How'd
Yeah.
they do with Lord of the Rings again?
I don't know. I didn't watch
Oh,
it.
wait. What about that one franchise they did take over and did such a great job with?
I
Nothing.
don't watch anything.
I feel like Wheel of Time, like there was like 3 good episodes and no one's ever watched episode 4. So actually I love Invincible and I do love The Boys. So
See?
what am I saying?
See?
Those were not purchased franchises that they are trying to improve upon. Those were originals. And in both cases, produced by Seth Rogen's company, which is interesting. So if
even
Seth
know that.
Rogen is
Interesting.
attached to this James Bond, also now that they're doing all of the Trump capitulations, I'm sure they're going to go very anti-DEI. So seeing some hottie like Idris Elba get it probably isn't going to happen because they're not going to hire a black
God,
guy
that
to
would
do
be
it.
so nice.
That would be nice.
We'll be talking about it more probably next episode, or maybe we'll do a special episode. But Kash Patel is the FBI director now, confirmed today. And just so you know, that's the worst news of the day. And we're only going to give it one line because I'm not ready to talk about it because I don't feel like throwing up.
Yeah. It's really
And
bad.
just to end on a note of like, hey, just so everyone is aware how much the world sucks. An 11-year-old took their own life this week in Texas because they were being bullied for their family's immigration status. And if you go across Twitter, all you see when people react to the story is, I don't think the story's even true. I doubt that this even really happened, even though the facts have actually been confirmed that, yes, not only was she being bullied for that, or not only is that true, it was confirmed before all of this story came out that the school had reached out or had documented already the bullying that was going on. And yes, kids will bully you for fucking anything,
Right.
especially in a Nazi state and a Nazi country.
Yeah.
About you're gonna
When it's the popular thing to.
right.
Yep.
They were
When the
basically
White House
telling
is
the kid-
putting out ASMR about deporting immigrants. Crazy.
They were telling the kid that she was going to be deported, despite the fact not being she was here legally. She was going to be deported by ICE, and basically it's just the kids of the white Nazis becoming little white Nazis, telling the brown kids that they're on their way out.
So sad.
So this is America. Don't catch you slipping up.
Yeah.
Jimmy has the least hip hop in him, and that was so cringy. So now let's just fade out the whole
say
thing.
a little self-promotion real quick?
Yeah,
I'm
do it.
releasing nudes today, actually.
Yeah.
You mean
I
yesterday?
actually am. It's a song called Nudes that you guys can go find on Spotify. Yes, and
Today
other
or
places.
yesterday?
Today.
Okay.
Today.
Which is
the 21st. Friday the 21st. Nudes. They're out everywhere.
the nudes are out. Check them out. I'm not releasing nudes, but I had to get paid to not release nudes. Just so everybody knows.
I'm not either. Everyone stop asking me. Oh my
They
god.
gave
No
me
kidding,
money to not
seriously.
release mine.
Oh, it's still going.
We'll see you at the bonus show. Goodbye, everyone.